Alright, what's up guys? We got the brand new rogue build for Season 4, the new exploding shotgun build. So, even though it may look like we're using rapid fire, it actually has a new mod to actually completely change around its effect with the newer unique called the Scoundrels Kiss. So, it actually plays a lot different. Normally with rapid fire, you just find your target, you shoot at it, it just goes in a straight line. It actually changes it. So, looking at the first part of the unique's effect over here on the top side, where it says description, rapid fire now lobs exploding arrows that deal X multiplicative increased damage. So it's going to be dealing more damage, but it lobs them and it also explodes. So that means better AoE. However, on bosses, what this does mean is that you need to get point blank, hence where the exploding shotgun build comes out. This is why it's a brand new build, because how it plays is it's going to kind of lob towards them. So if certain targets aren't within the certain area, it's just going to completely miss, which means you will deal less DPS if you do not get in kissing distance. That's why they call it the Scoundrels Kiss. There's also another bonus on one of the mods, so here are the mods. The most important thing though is it changes how rapid fire works. It's essentially a new skill because it's going to do not only AoE damage, but it kind of arcs in kind of a mountain. So it starts off low and then it kind of goes up, and depending on the location, it could not hit the target if you're not within the kissing distance. So here's what it does. It gives you crit strike chance, then it gives you ranks to rapid fire, then it's going to give you imbuement cooldown reduction, which if you want to run imbuements, it's arguably slower because the only time I would really want an imbuement is pretty much just on a boss fight, which you could just run Beastfall Boots, Banish Lord's Talisman, one-shot the boss, and then ignore, like, you know, activating imbuements and waiting for the poison ticks to go through. But it also gives you increased attack speed after dodging an attack. So pretty much what it comes down to is if you do want to melt bosses with this, I would recommend you guys to check out my one-shot build. It's going to be something that where you still want to use the skills and items that I'm going to be mentioning. However, if you do want to just one-shot like the level 200 bosses, more than likely that's just going to be the better option than to run the imbuements on it, even though it does have imbuement cooldown, and there's new temperings to give you more stacks of the imbuement uses on your skills. I was testing out some of the new stuff with like caltrops to see if the damage would ramp them. It's kind of pointless, to be honest. There's a lot of skills that you can swap in and out, and I'll mention them, but the most important thing to kind of note here is that Scoundrels Kiss will absolutely be amazing if you are within the kissing distance. So going over the skills and what we are using here. So as far as the skills, puncture, so that's just going to deal the ability to apply vulnerability to the target if our exploit glyph wears off. Most of the time you can kill everything in the game within a few seconds, and that's what most Diablo builds will do, especially in open world content. But if you are doing a boss and you're not doing Beastfall Boots, well, you can go ahead and still apply vulnerability. And then rapid fire, that's our main source of damage. Again, get within kissing distance with the enemies, and that's how you get to maximize your DPS. Then we're running the Dark Shroud. This is going to give you extra survivability and give you extra crit or movement speed. And then we are running Dash. This is going to proc our Cutthroat because we are going to be going back to close quarters like in Season 2 because it's just much better. And I'll explain why in a second. And then Caltrops. And then we have the Shadow Step. So Caltrops, it's kind of optional. I was playing around with it because it was brand new. Plus, it can actually proc your ability to actually chill the enemies if you don't want to actually run the Penitent Greaves, which I am running in the gameplay, but those are pretty easy to acquire. It just allows us to get a quick little damage multiplier onto the enemies, and then it will also apply the chill effect because, again, we're going to be in melee range here. Most of the time, if we want to maximize DPS. But again, if it's open world content, you'll melt everything so fast, doesn't really matter. But Shadow Step also activates our Cutthroat skill for our close quarters. Alternatively, on the basic skill, if you do want to run a Cutthroat, that's totally fine too. As far as the aspects though, also the specialization, we are running Inner Sight because Inner Sight got a massive buff. If you want to run combo points, that's cool too, and then you can throw on the unique dagger and get way more damage if you want to. But this is more so for Beastfall Boots, one-shotting the like uber bosses. As far as the aspects go, so Disobedience and Juggernauts, but if you're doing like lower tier content, you don't have to run Disobedience, just one of them is good, but to reach the new cap of the monster level, you do want to run both, or if your armor is high enough. We don't know what the official number is. It's probably speculated to be anywhere from 17 to 20k, but as far as the glove aspect over here, we're just running Arrow Storms. These are actually great for open world content, but even non-open world content, these actually do a pretty good amount of damage now. They've significantly buffed the other things, but if you want to run the brand new like Inner Calm, that's totally cool too. It doesn't really matter. That will, in theory, give you more damage if you're doing one-shot stuff, but again, I really do like the new addition to the arrow storms. This is actually a really fun thing to mess around with. It gives you way more clear speed too. And then we're running Umbrus. This will give us free Dark Shrouds when we crit with our marksman skills. And then we're also running Manglers. This will apply a daze to the enemies, and while the enemy is actually going to be dazed, they can get knocked down, and then that's going to give us additional crit. That was something that actually got buffed in Season 3. And then we are also running the aspect of repeating, so more of these rapid fire explosions for our shotgun here. And then as far as the other aspects, we're running Edge Masters, and our amulet just gives us some more damage. And you can see our resource really is pretty much top notch for most of it. We also have Inner Sight, which got buffed. And then we are running Accelerating, some more attack speed. The ring is the ring that I already showed you guys over here. We just can't show it right here because it's not available on the builder website. They're doing maintenance here to get all the stuff ready. And then Vengeful, so more arrow storms over here. It does physical damage. You can also run elements here. Now, even though it shows it, like, you'd think that this exploding thing is fire damage, it's actually coded, I believe, for physical at the moment. This may change, but if you're running elements, doesn't matter. It's going to rotate in between them. Just spam it, and you'll get, bonuses of either one. Or you can run Doombringer or whatever you want to. You can actually run Resurrect now on the Rogue, but doesn't really matter too much what you throw in. And then gems over here, emerald, rubies, and the diamond. Nothing has really changed. There's a couple notes for the tempers. So as far as the tempers go, you can get chance for rapid fire to double, or you get damage to crowd control. Those are kind of like your optimal ones to go ahead and go for. And there's a couple notes here, but as far as crit goes, like, you can actually get 100% crit in this build. So how you can get it is you want to get crit, obviously, in your gloves, your amulet, as well as in your rings. The ring will already roll with it. And then there's a new temper that you can throw on that will give you crit chance for marksman skills only. So normally you'd think, oh, for specialization or the key passive that we would go for on the skill tree. By the way, they're doing maintenance on us. If I move this anywhere, it just snaps to the top. It's kind of annoying, but that's the way it works right now. Actually, I think if we... I wonder if we hit edit. No, like, if I move down, it just snaps up. They're doing maintenance on the website right now, so it just does that. But as far as the skill tree goes, I'll link it down below. It'll work when you guys view it, but if I'm in the editor, it doesn't, like, function properly right now. But just to kind of go over it, let me go and move this a little bit farther to the side if you guys want to see kind of the whole skill tree. So basically, we get puncture, and then we get rapid fire, and then we can get things like shadow step. I really like getting discipline. This is basically the most important thing is close quarters combat. Why is it good? Well, damage to crowd control is really easy to just throw on all of your pieces of gear now, and it's going to give you way more value than getting your precision. So how this works is your next hit will guarantee crit, and then it hits for, well, it says X50, and then it gets further increased by your crit strike damage. Now, it depends if you have more crit strike damage or if you get the other one. It's up to you on what you want to go for, but this is just going to be a lot more consistent over here. If you have damage to crowd control, you can get this number up quite high. Now, which one is going to be better? It depends on your rolls. If you want to run precision, that's totally fine. Then don't get damage to crowd control, just get crit damage. Because how this works is your next skill, after you either crit 2 different times on the third one, because you have to reach these stacks, so it's basically not 100% uptime. So if you're like 20% crit, then like this one will be better. But most people will by far go way over 20% crit. So this one will give you more value. Now, since you are scaling damage to crowd controlled, well, that won't be as great on bosses, but the bosses are going to be something that you can melt in one hit anyways. Again, just swap the Beastfall Boots, Banish Lord's Talisman, just one-shot the boss, and then you could ignore, like, waiting for the stacks and everything else to kind of work well, if that makes any sense. So it's just going to be much faster. That's the way I see it, though. But we're also going to get Frigid Finesse, and again, you can do Caltrops, you can go with the Cold Imbue, and that can be all good to go for that. But as far as the next thing that we will go over, because we already went over everything in here, we're going to go into the Paragon Board. So as far as the Paragon Board goes, it's actually very similar to the Flurry Rapid Fire, except for we just don't scale stun grenades. So on the starter board, we are going to be getting Ranger, and then we are going to be going up to get Exploit, Weakness, and Control. And then for the right side, we're going to be getting Turf. So again, because we're in melee range, we actually can still run some of the stuff that you'd run for like Twisting Blades or Flurry, which is great because it's just easy to swap into this. And then Tricks of the Trade with Combat, that will give us extra resource. That's how, I know it's blocking the resource now, but like you'll see, we're going to be constantly at max resource here anyways. And then we are going to go up over here into Cheap Shot. Then we're going to also take Cheap Shot. We're going to throw in Chip over here. And this is physical damage, increases the damage an enemy takes from you. And again, the rapid fire is still actually, even though it shows that it's like orange and you would think it's fire, as far as my testing goes, it seemed like it was actually still physical damage. It doesn't change the element. So if you got bonus damage to non-fizz, then, well, it's fine, because you could still throw in imbuements if you want to. It's meant for the build. In fact, you could throw on poison imbue and get the additional poison imbuements, and then you wouldn't have to swap into beast fall boots. But objectively, beast fall boots, I mean, comparing a one-shot versus a, 5 seconds, does it matter? Yes, it does. And then the reason why is because these new pit bosses, when you start going higher in the tier, I know I showed like I think it was like level 120 something of the monsters, but as you go higher, those bosses at the very end, when they summon the red shadows, those things will one-shot you. So the ideal goal, you one-shot him before he one-shots you. That's where it does actually matter. So that's my suggestions. But the final board is No Witness with Exploit over here. So yeah, that is the brand new rogue build with the Scoundrels Kiss, brand new, unique, to get the exploding shotgun playstyle. So if you guys have played it, let me know your guys' thoughts on it, or if you've seen the gameplay, what do you think of it? Do you guys plan to run this? For me, in the next season, I'm actually surprisingly most excited to play with imbuements. As far as this goes, it is a newer playstyle, but again, it's kind of weird because the ranged rogue, you normally would think, well, you want to sit further back, but this is, again, it's Scoundrels Kiss. They want you to get within kissing distance. It totally makes sense, and it's a cool kind of thing that it is brand new to play around with. So I like that they're actually kind of basically adding almost new skills, so to speak, even though it's still rapid fire. The playstyle is you got to get close and within melee range in order for it to maximize its value. But you get a massive amount of damage. I mean, you temper the bonus to ranks of rapid fire, and this thing will absolutely be shredding content. So as far as it goes, do I think this is better or stun grenades? Well, if you are looking for one-shotting, I mean, most builds will be able to one-shot like bosses, and rapid fire is one of the best things to do it with. But as far as clearing out stuff, is this better, or is the stun grenades better with Flurry? Open world content though, Flurry, it covers up too much of the screen, as in like you could basically just spam Flurry. In level 100 content, Flurry absolutely will dunk on this in terms of speed, because it attacks in a giant circle. It's like Whirlwind. It's so incredibly massive. Plus Rogue is one of the faster classes in the game. So it's kind of like, well, if you're doing a mix of content, like higher tier content, I would say that the Scoundrels Kiss, the exploding shotgun build will be better. But if you're just like, I'm more of a casual, your clear speed is just so much faster with Flurry. But that's kind of where I would say, in terms of my suggestions, because people ask, do I like this build better or the new Stun Flurry build? Stun Flurry, it doesn't do enough damage. That's just really what it comes down to, if you want to do high tier content. And that's up to you what you want to do. But if you're looking at the highest tier content, honestly, it probably doesn't matter, because you can one-shot things if you just throw in the Beast Fall boots. And if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. I'll link it down below, but it'll show you how to one-shot everything in the game with Rogue, pretty much. And I'm sure it'll one-shot most of the stuff that comes out for the foreseeable future, because you can just roll plus to energy. But anyways, a little bit of a rant on the very end there, but I had to kind of explain, which one is better, because a lot of people want to know. And I think that this one's a little bit more fun because it's new, because Flurry has already existed in the game. So it'll give you something else newer to play around with, so that's my suggestions for it. Anyways, that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're new here, subscribe, turn the bell if you want to see an update to this build, as well as other builds in the next upcoming season. But take care. I'll see you in the next one, and the build will be linked down below for the build website.